It was such a fantastic Grand Prix in Bahrain, and it had a bit of everything, the drama at the front, but so many good wheel-to-wheel battles, and I think that's what we want to look at now, and when they've got maybe a little bit too close. So the first one we want to see is the Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen incident on lap 4, at turn 4 as well. Let's have a look at this one. So we can see Sainz goes to the outside of turn 4, Verstappen, as you would do, defends the inside.
I cannot believe this guy, I cannot believe.
Sainz is actually fairly clear ahead before they come into the corner, but it's Max Verstappen that he's up against, and Verstappen's never one to back down from a fight. So they turn in, Verstappen holds his own on the inside, and they have a bit of contact, which doesn't look that big at first, but it's actually Carlos Sainz that comes off worse. He picks up the right front puncture, and that effectively ends what was looking like a very promising race. If we go on board now with Carlos Sainz, he goes to the outside, Verstappen indeed defends the inside, and he's quite a long way ahead coming into the corner. But crucially, let's look back a little bit here. Look where Sainz turns in very early, and he's right towards the apex. It's about a metre to the apex curb where there is a Red Bull. So he's really risking a lot with that move. He was ahead, maybe he thought it was done, but it wasn't, and that's where Verstappen was still there. And now if we go on board with Max Verstappen, we get another angle of it again. So Verstappen exits turn 3, he knows Carlos Sainz is there. You can see him looking in the mirror on the right hand side. Now he looks at the left as Sainz moves left, but look, Sainz is ahead. That move could well be done. And for most drivers it could be done as well, because they wouldn't have the fight that Verstappen has, wanting to keep, in theory, the slower car behind. But Verstappen says no, up the inside, brakes super late, but in the end he has nowhere to go. And if I pause it there, you can see exactly how far Sainz has squeezed across. He's not giving Verstappen any room. Verstappen picks up a bit of understeer on the apex because he just gets onto the curb, which just launches him a little bit in the air, pushes him into Sainz. It's aggressive from Verstappen. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but he is lucky as well that Sainz got the puncture. It could have easily been him, but he managed to carry on in his way and of course finish 4th place. It was an unfortunate one, definitely, because the car looked very quick. Lando Norris finished 6th. Sainz was fighting with a Red Bull in a McLaren, so this is something they probably never thought they'd be doing at the start of the year. I just think this one was slightly misjudged on his part. With other drivers, with probably the other 18 drivers in the field, he might have made it work, but with Max Verstappen, we all know he's aggressive, and he was just holding his own there on the inside. The next one is Giovinazzi and Kvyat on lap 12 at turn 11. So this one is actually a relatively similar incident. DRS for Giovinazzi. Kvyat knows he's there, makes a small move to the inside. In the end, he doesn't defend, he moves back to the racing line. Giovinazzi's there, side by side into the corner, but this one's a much quicker corner, turn 11. It's 5th gear, and it's the onboard of Giovinazzi that I think is the most interesting on this one. Coming out of turn 10 now, and there's a DRS zone ahead, and Kvyat's starting to struggle with the tyres. Already you can see a little wheel spin coming in at a bit of a correction. He loses a bit of drive coming down to turn 11. And turn 11 is not a conventional overtaking place. There is a DRS zone there, but we don't see a lot of moves there because it's a fast-ish corner and it's not a massive straight behind. But that little bit of wheel spin gives Giovinazzi hope. So then, running up to the corner, gets in the slipstream. Kvyat knows he's there, he moves slightly there to the left. The light blinking as he's clipping, but that's not affecting a huge amount because he's just coming to the braking zone. But Giovinazzi brakes so early. This is where the incident comes from. He's not really committed to this move, Giovinazzi. He brakes at about the same time as Kvyat, from a little bit behind. Again, if I pause it there, Kvyat's not giving him a lot of space. He's risking it massively on the outside, but Giovinazzi on this one is just coasting a little bit too much, and he's not been decisive enough with his move, I don't think. Kvyat comes off worse, and probably he was the big loser in this one because he was fighting with his teammate before Albon had pitted a couple laps before. Albon finished 9th. Kvyat should have left more space, Giovinazzi should have been more committed, or just waited a couple of corners more. So the next incident is the biggest one of the race. It's the two title rivals for the last couple of years, maybe will be the case again this year. Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, lap 38, and this is where Vettel's race was completely undone in just a few corners. So it starts coming into turn 14 and he's right on the gearbox of Valtteri Bottas, and he in fact dives to the inside of Bottas, not knowing that Bottas is about to move into the pits and get out of the way of his teammate. Hamilton knows this is an opportunity. He got a little bit sideways on the power out of turn 14, just being so eager to get good traction. Vettel has DRS into turn 1 because he's been behind Bottas at the final corner, and that helps him out down here. So Hamilton, not close enough to make a move, just moves out a little bit to try and distract him, but Vettel, he's experienced and he doesn't make the mistake there. Runs a little bit wide on the exit though, and now this is where Hamilton's going to pounce. And Vettel knows it, looks in the mirror straight away. This is a crucial moment in his race, maybe in his championship, and it looks all fine, but Hamilton's move here is sensational. Gives a little bit more space than Sainz did with Max Verstappen much earlier on. He doesn't take such a risk as the Toro Rosso or the McLaren earlier, but he just attacks with so much speed that Vettel can't respond. He's not expecting it, basically. And afterwards, Hamilton said there was a bit of a headwind in that corner. He knew he could risk it. Downforce working very well there, and it paid off massively. So he would have exited the corner all fine. Sebastian Vettel did not exit the corner all fine because he must have been quite flustered by Hamilton going around the outside. The move was done for Hamilton, but Vettel just lit it up basically on the rear tyres. Too much throttle too soon, and there's a tricky corner there as well. You're trying to exit slightly off camber as you come over the crest.
Okay, sorry guys, it was my mistake. I got surprised and lost the rear. Really sorry.
And he lost it. I have to say, is a more simple error from Sebastian Vettel. Let's have a look on board with him. So we can see here, Hamilton then moves to the outside just before the braking zone, but Vettel's alongside. Hamilton's too late on the brakes and he gets around. And then it's just, you can hear where the moment the revs just peak and the wheels are spinning, and that is where Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari starts spinning as well. He's got no more rear grip, just about here. There, and he just fights it a moment and then it's gone. Snappy, these cars are very difficult to catch when they're right on the edge, I know this myself, but that one is different to Vettel's last incidents as well from last year. He had an incident in Monza, he had an incident in Japan, he had an incident in Austin, but they were on the way into the corners with the car directly on the outside. It was almost a bit of contact and he just lost it. This one is different. Hamilton made the move stick. Vettel was just trying to get on the power. For me, this is one of the most surprising things I've seen in a long time, because the mistakes, we've seen Sebastian Vettel make a lot of mistakes. He's a tremendous racing driver. He's a 4-time world champion. He's got such pace, but he is making errors. And the conditions in Bahrain was super, super tough. The wind was howling and it was gusty as well, which makes the car really unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to get one corner to another. The direction can change a little bit as well. But no one else was making this mistake, crucially. And Sebastian Vettel's in the fastest car in the field in the Bahrain race. His teammate was showing that. I think he's in trouble now. The problem for Vettel is that's now 4 spins in the last 10 races. The perfect thing for taking the pressure off is a winter away. And he's had a couple of months off, no media, no pressure, no stress really. He's come back and race 2 is the same again, and immediately the questions grow. They don't go away very quickly. The only way to get rid of them is to put in good performances, consistent performances, and start, in his case, winning races. And the final incident I want to look at was the very next lap. Lap 39, the 2 Renaults. Just a small touch down at turn 1, but quite an important incident in the Renault's race. In the end, it made no difference to the outcome, but these 2 drivers are so hungry and they're new teammates for this year. Only their second race, they come together on track. So let's see what happened. It's Ricciardo's ahead. He goes to the inside. Hülkenberg around the outside has the DRS, and they're neck and neck into the corner. They touch a little bit later on there, but it's Ricciardo who's locked up. And look how much space Hülkenberg gives his teammate, which you have to do. We all know the worst thing in racing is to crash with your teammate.
What was that? He hit me. I gave him plenty of space.
He carried on and his performance was dropping, but that was more to do with the Renault strategy that was not working at all. With everyone else in the field, everyone else did a 2-stop. If Renault had just copied what everyone else did, but they didn't do that, they 2-stopped Hülkenberg, they 1-stopped Ricciardo, so Hülkenberg at the end of the race was coming quick. In the end, they should have both been on for good points until just before the end of the race, they ironically both parked up in that exact corner. But this one for me, it's maybe just the start of a little bit of fireworks between those 2 drivers. Top drivers. I imagine Ricciardo must have apologised for this one to Hülkenberg. In the end, it didn't make any difference. So that's a good thing for the team point of view. But as a team, they've got a lot more issues because they were both parked up with engine issues with a couple of laps to go. So 2 races in, only 1 point's finished between them. They're a team that wants to be best of the rest in 4th, and at the moment they've got a bit of work to do. The 2 drivers, for them, they just need to beat each other as much as possible. This is a year that Ricciardo He's taken a gamble to go to Renault. He left Red Bull where Verstappen was kind of getting on top of him. But Nico Hülkenberg is no slouch. I know that from personal experience, sadly myself as well. He is very, very quick, and I think that'll be a tough teammate for Ricciardo. As for Hülkenberg, Ricciardo's won 7 Grand Prix. This is a chance that he's got to really show that, put him in a top car, and he can win some Grand Prix as well. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic between them.